Hey, Matt Norton at the Community Workbench. I proudly sponsor the Community Workbench and everything that it represents for local entrepreneurs. And speaking of which, I am a local entrepreneur. I am a realtor with Remax Bell Park in Dayville, Connecticut. Fully licensed in Connecticut to do commercial, rentals, and residential. I absolutely love my job, love working with clients. So if you are in any need for a realtor, please give me a call 860-428-6534. Your dreams are my job. This episode of the Community Workbench podcast is proudly sponsored by JG Creations LLC. Visit them online www.jgc-engraving.com for all the hundreds of products that John Jenna makes. His local business, JG Creations, is veteran owned and operated in Brooklyn, Connecticut. He specializes in laser engraving, awards, business branding, and personalized gifts. Who doesn't love a personalized gift? John gave me a personalized gift. Coffee mugs with your name on them, coffee mugs with a hobby on them, all kinds of golfing and other sports memorabilia and gear that can be engraved and personalized for anyone that you have to get gifts for. I, as a realtor, am always getting closing gifts. I love doing the engraved cutting boards as part of my closing gifts for my clients, or coffee mugs and whatever it may be. Anything I can kind of tailor to them and who they are just makes it a little extra special. And speaking of gift giving, Christmas is right around the corner. Consider going to JG Creations for any of your holiday shopping. He can do, wood, leather, metals, literally hundreds of products to choose from. And even if you only have like a vague idea of what you want, John is so creative. He's so good at helping you choose products and helping you choose design work, and doing the designing himself right there. He helped us with our logo and put it on some coasters for us. And now that logo is digitalized. So when we want it engraved on a hat, we just say so. And he printed out a sticker for us too, to put on a sign for another event. We can't say enough about him and his response time and how great it is to work with him. So really do yourself a favor around Christmas time. Make the gift buying and giving fun again with John Jenna at JG Creations. Visit his website to see things that you might be interested in, and then give him a call 860-336-6498. And he also does email at john@jgc-engraving.com. Welcome to the Community Workbench. Today we have a couple of changes. We were supposed to have Woodstock Building Associates on, and they couldn't make it. So I was jumped on the opportunity to have John Jenna, JG Creations, here with us, and some of the other fathers and scoutmasters from Troop 44. But first, let's talk a little bit about JG Creations. John, how's business been going?
Business has been going good. Thank you guys for having me on tonight. I'm always happy to come on. It's always a fun show. But no, business has been going great. It's been a good year. I'm in a spot where I was really hoping to be, where I could double my sales from last year, which was kind of a
Nice.
huge thing for me. Going from part time to full time is always the biggest scare, right? when you
Yep,
when you quit your full time security blanket job and go into business for yourself, that first couple of years is a little scary. So I'm pretty happy,
for
and
sure.
I've been doing a lot of marketing this year. I've been trying to get a lot more exposure in business to business sales and stuff like that, and added some new, a lot of new product. But one of the biggest things that I did just in the past 6 months was I started offering industrial part marking, which is basically all we live in a manufacturing mecca right here. And those of you guys know that's my old career. I was in manufacturing. So I started offering industrial part marking to a lot of local businesses, and that's starting to pick up steam. So I'm really happy about that because it's fun work and it's always different.
Yeah.
And it puts one of my other machines more to use.
Yeah. Nice.
So that's been going pretty good, but yeah, things are going really well, and always trying new things. Thank you for the shout outs in the beginning. That was awesome. Kind of sitting there listening to some of the accolades.
You're very welcome. I was happy to just kind of write it down today and try and practice. I haven't done a whole lot of reads, so it's a fun practice to get into for me as well. Just throwing pitches out like that, and then hopefully we get more sponsors on the platform, and the more of that comes in, the more longevity we'll have on this platform.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this as I was driving over here. That long commute for me to get from my house to yours. It was just about a year ago. I think we're about 2 weeks shy of a year ago when I came on the first time, which I know I was one of your first couple people.
Right.
So then I'm like, oh, well, that's pretty cool. It's an anniversary. It's close to an anniversary show. So you know me, and the noise. Pardon the noises. I didn't think about that when I put the box up there. But so I come bearing gifts because it is coming up on the community workbench birthday. So if I can get these underneath the microphone without knocking everything down, and I'll go over the top with the other one. So you can just open up. They're all the same, but each you can open a box.
Oh, that's awesome.
So being a fellow woodworker like Matt,
That's cool.
I think the first time I came here, I had a hard time putting a drink down on the wood. So, and I'm like, it'd be pretty cool. I'll give him some more coasters. So, you can never have too many coasters.
We have a lot of coasters here, and thank you so much. These are awesome. These are his slate engraving coasters with our logo on it, and you do some amazing slate work.
Thank you.
You've been doing pictures on slate and getting into that. That's pretty wild too.
Yeah, that's a fun one. So for you guys, you talk to me. We all talk outside of here and stuff. And I've been working on photos like for a couple years, and I always post pictures of what I'm doing on my Facebook, my business Facebook page, and it's extremely hard because running a laser, like most people run a laser and they just do engravings. It's just typical simple stuff. Mm-hmm. Photos is a whole different level because it's not just running the laser. I mean, everything has to be perfect. And when I say perfect, it has to be within like 3 decimal places, sometimes 4, which it's hard. Yeah. I mean, you're trying to get all these tweaks. And today was probably one of the best days I've ever had in the past couple of years because I've been struggling to find this on my CO2 laser, and I found it. And this was like about an hour and a half ago. I actually posted it.
I saw.
I finally found everything came together at like 3 o'clock this afternoon, and I was just like, I was giddy. I was actually dancing around my garage, like, oh my God, I finally found it. Now I know what it can do. Now I can fine tune it because now I know that threshold. And I'm excited about it because I've been able to do it with my metal laser because that one has like super, super high precision. And the CO2 just doesn't have the same focal point. So I'm pretty stoked that I was doing painted tile, and I've been doing slate like you said. And I have the big picture for this. And eventually it's going to be offering my services to like memorials. Like, there's a local company that talked to me about it. So I'm trying to get to that point.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm like really stoked that I've got there today.
Nice.
Because it's been a long road.
Yeah, I mean, the image was like incredibly clear.
Yeah.
It was like mind-boggling that was done by a laser.
And it's kind of cool. It's like billboards. This is how it was explained to me. Like when you see a billboard from far away, it looks awesome. When you see it from close up, it looks like garbage. because
It's
of the pixels.
dots or
It's
pixels.
dots.
Yeah.
That's the fine line that I've been trying to find is I couldn't get where I was getting each pixel and the part that, without people really looking at this stuff, I had a true one-to-one engraving today, and that's when I about came out of my skin because I could see the individual pixels that were engraved.
Oh,
and,
wow.
and it was a white area where I could see the couple black dots, and I'm like, oh my god, I finally found it. And it was kind of an exciting moment.
Yeah,
So,
that's awesome when you get you kind of acquire a new skill, or I can totally relate with
Yep.
woodworking and stuff like that.
yeah, as we're looking at those
Get
hand cut dovetails over there.
yeah, and those were some of my first go ats, and hand cutting was very different. In the class, they teach you like so many different ways, and when you find the way you like the best, it's like kind of gets that same thing. Or they also taught us how to like sharpen and maintain the chisels and stuff. And it's like handcuffed dovetails. A lot of people are like, oh, that's a lot of work. But when the tools are super sharp, it is like butter. It's really not as bad as you think. But yeah, it's just knowing your tools, knowing and doing the samples, doing the work. And I know I've been in your shop. You've got plenty of samples that didn't go so well
Yeah.
when you try your tolerances and whatnot.
Yeah,
So
and that's my workbench this past. I think I started this because I've started and stopped this multiple times because it's very very labor intensive because you're making these micro adjustments, and so I'm painting tiles and I gotta wait for them to dry. So I paint like a dozen, and I'll go through that dozen tiles in one day. So I gotta be painting the other dozen. So that way, there I have them. So what happened was I ran out of tiles. I'm like, it put me off for a couple days, and as I was prepping them, because I found that if you try to go too soon, even though the paint looks like it's dry,
right.
if it doesn't cure for like 24 to 36 hours, I can tell when I go to hit it because it starts flaking.
Oh,
So there's all these little things I found out while I was doing it, and the problem is this is one of those things that people don't share. So like when you are at a certain level with your craft, you don't share some of those trade secrets. So you can't just ask somebody, like, hey, dude, how'd you do that? They go, yeah, whatever. It's like, hey, adjust your speeds and adjust your power. You'll be okay. But once you get to a certain level, in some of the forums, and one of these guys that I really look up to, because he's just doing some incredible work, I got the accolades from him today where he was like, holy crap, that looks good. And then he responded back. He goes, I'm sitting here staring at this. And he goes, not for nothing. He goes, this is the same thing that I'm doing right now. This is the same quality. I was like, oh,
That's awesome.
Nice.
thanks, dude. I'm
Yeah.
like, you don't know how good that made me feel, that, because I'm trying to emulate what you're doing.
Right.
And he's a business, but he's not like a business doing engraving and everything. He does all this high end like picture work. So it's kind of cool. A lot of fun.
Nice.
A lot of scrap.
Nice. Well, it's been awesome, and we've talked before. I mean, lifestyle now. You have a very flexible kind of hours, so you can do a lot more with the family, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of changed from where you were before now into at least a year in of full time.
Yeah, actually, I'm going on 2 years.
2 years.
2 years in
Full-time.
January.
Nice.
So January, I went back to work for like one day, January, I don't know, whatever it was, the 2nd or 3rd of 2023. Right?
Yeah.
I went back to work
Sounds
for like
like-
one and a half days, just so
Yeah.
I could, basically not lose all that pay for the time they were shut down.
Yeah.
Because I worked
Yeah.
worked at EB for a short amount of time. So it has opened up a lot of doors in the sense of I get to do a lot more. So I get to put more time into my marketing. I get to put more time into my family, and of course the next thing, the segue here is I get to put more time into scouts.
Yes. I will commend you as probably the number one scoutmaster that puts in the most time and energy into the background parts of scouting to make sure that all of our events are planned out appropriately and whatnot. And I'm super grateful for what you do in scouting. And today we also have Justin here and Mike, two other fathers / assistant scoutmasters for Troop 44. welcome, guys.
Welcome.
Thank you. I think it's thank you, not welcome.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
You're just giving John more ammo. So Mike and John were here also for our Memorial Day special. And, if any of you were old enough to watch that,
Put the kids to bed first. That's all I'm saying.
we had a lot of good times, and it's just another feather in you guys' caps that you guys work so well with the scouts, and you put in so much more extra time with your scout, your sons. You have Mike. You have two scouts in, right?
Yeah, so I have my oldest, he's in the troop,
Mm.
and then I have my younger son who's in the pack, and he's got 6 months left, and then he's actually moving up to
The troop.
the troop. I mean,
Yeah.
this week he's actually coming in to him and another scout from the pack are coming in to see how the troop is and get their first taste of the troop
Yeah.
before they do their crossover in I think it's in February.
Yeah.
And then I'll have them both in the troop.
Yeah, those of you that don't know, the pack is the younger kids. It's like K through 5, essentially.
Yeah.
And then there's 6 through when you age out at 18, and hopefully by then you have your Eagle.
Right.
Yeah.
And just because if the people out there listening and aren't familiar with Scouts, traditionally the Cub Scout program used to be boys only. It was, maybe 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 or 6 years ago, actually I think it was 6, that BSA opened up the program to be a true family unit, and we jumped on it. I was a Cub Master of the pack at the time, and I jumped on it because
It already was.
Yeah, we already were a family unit, but the problem was is we had all these sisters that were doing all the same stuff because they came to the meetings, but we couldn't give them any recognition. Well, now I was fortunate. I count myself very fortunate that I was able to cross over the first young ladies last year because they were in my den.
Yeah.
I was able to cross them over to their respective troops,
Right.
and that's an awesome thing. I mean, I've been involved in Scouts almost 10 years now. I think this year will be 10 years actually, and that was awesome. I mean,
Yeah, and it's a big deal because when they go to the troop, they're back to all girls,
Yep.
all boys troops, and then but they get that recognition of forever. Eagle Scouts. Justin, our resident Eagle Scout. You get a lot. You get like scholarships. You get military ranks. There's a lot of opportunities becoming an Eagle, and for when it was boys only. Girls couldn't have that opportunity. Now they do, and the fact that we actually have some getting up through the program.
Yeah, and like John said, I mean, how many moms are involved? My mom was my pack leader and pack master for a while.
Yeah.
And it's not like my sister could ever join back then, but now the girls do. I mean, I've had one of the girls in my den for the entire 6 years
Yeah.
since
Wow.
since Jackson joined, and now we're about to be done, and we have 2 girls and 2 boys that are moving on.
Nice.
2 of them are going on the troop side, on the girls' side, and 2 on the boys' side, and
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you get to that point where you're looking to get your Eagle Scout, I mean, people do recognize that
Oh,
for
yeah.
different reasons. My brother was also an Eagle Scout. They give you an extra stripe in the military for that,
Oh,
because it's a kind of a pre-military
Yeah.
program. That's how it was originally formed. And I remember he told the story of being at boot camp where people were shaking hands. How did you get your stripe? How did you get your stripe? And like the commander of the whole base was there asking, and he went down the line and he said, how'd you get your stripe? He said, I'm an Eagle Scout. And he took the gun out of his hand and saluted him
Wow.
right on sight, and then gave him his rifle back. So I'll never forget that. Being in that type of thing, and I professionally kind of see that where people respect that earning that rank. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of skills that I think that kids nowadays are not getting in different programs. Leadership, responsibility, some of the stuff that you get in Scouts. Yeah, we do have a great deal of fun, which I'm sure we'll talk about, but you get those life skills, I think, out of
Right.
the program that I think is lacking and still very pertinent in today's society. You know.
Yeah.
It is very much so. Obviously, I'm a busy guy. I'm involved in a lot of different things, and one of the other things I'm involved in is an organization called EMA, which is they deal with manufacturing and stuff. And one of the biggest things that's always talked about is having students come through the manufacturing programs. What is some of the biggest? It's not learning how to use a hand tool or how to use a hand cranker. It's soft skills. It's the being on time, being respectful, knowing how to follow rules, knowing how to follow a plan, knowing how to put action plans together, knowing how to do all this stuff. It's throughout life.
Speaking in front of groups.
Speaking in front of groups is huge. I have a great story about that, but it's.
I wish you were more comfortable with it.
I know. Hey, give me,
Working on it.
bring me back to that in five. Bring me back to that in 5 seconds. No, but these soft skills, these life skills. Let's not call them soft skills. Let's call them life skills that they get. I've seen it firsthand with my own son, my oldest, where he was kind of quiet, which is ironic.
Yeah,
He's kind of quiet
definitely didn't
and
get
very
it from his father.
definitely didn't get it from me. A little bit timid, and he didn't like being in front of people. And now that he's at the point where he's starting his Eagle project. He's only 15, turned 16 in June. I've watched him go from that timid, not wanting to say a whole lot, to getting up in front of the troop and leading full lessons.
Yeah.
And that growth. Now there's still a lot of room to he's got a lot of room to grow, but to watch a 15-year-old have the confidence to get up there and teach,
Yeah.
and the 5-second come back around, I never used to be able to do that. So we've talked about the military, we've had lots of conversations. I used to have to do tech training with the guys in my shop. That I think I had like 25 or 30 guys in my shop. We'd do it every week. I would get so scared and nervous with people that I lived with that I would stutter and I couldn't talk. So you flash forward to my 30s when I went back to school, and they're like, "Hey, you got to take a public speaking class to graduate," and I'm like, I was
Hated them.
petrified.
Wow.
Partly because of my voice, because it's so deep and raspy. I'm like, oh, I hate the sound of my own voice, and it was the best class I ever took in my life.
Were you like a 4-pack a day? So
Yeah, see, that's so that one of my professors, him and his wife used to call me 2-pack a day, John.
oh,
I'm like,
jeez.
it was a joke. They're friends, but they're like, oh, it's 2-pack a day, John. But that class changed everything for me and brought me to where I am now. So it took me to my mid-30s to get comfortable.
Yeah.
These kids are learning it by 12, well, it's 10.
Yeah.
When they come into scouts, the first rank that they do is the scout rank. And the scout rank is basically learning some of the stuff that we taught them at the very last rank in Cub Scouts. They have to basically do, scout, tenderfoot, second class, first class, life, star, and then eagle. So 7 interviews. They have to do 7 interviews
That's huge.
in front of people that they may not be used to talking to. So yes, they come to the Scoutmasters first, but then they go to a board of review, and that could be any of the parents, and they might not know these people at all. So they're getting these life skills that 7 times. Think about that. How many job interviews did you go on in your lifetime before you actually felt comfortable, if any?
Right.
I didn't grow up in Scouts, and my first interview was when I interviewed to go to Ellis Tech. And I remember I dressed up and I, tried to play as professional as possible, but it was definitely a wake-up call because she asked questions and I didn't really know the answer to, and it was just like, okay, what do you know what I mean? Like, and it made me nervous, like, oh, I might not get this. It's not a shoo-in,
Right.
And then at Ellis, they did have workplace readiness, and we did do mock-up interviews and stuff like that. But you're with your peers, that you're interviewing each other a little bit. And then we had speech class too, which was again
That's
in front of,
interview? That didn't help you.
No.
Oh no, it did. It helped a little, but it's still like you're in front. Like by the time we did speech class, you're junior or senior, and you've been with the
Yeah,
same
you know
20
everybody.
people
Yeah, exactly.
for for the whole 3
Speech
years.
in college, or
So,
public speaking in college is you don't know anybody, and that's
Yeah.
like horrible.
Oh,
It's like it's like group project.
and
Yeah,
not
but
even, make it even worse was the guy. So I respect the I mean, I wish I could remember his name. Where I was having this conversation with Amy, my wife, like yesterday or the day before. They recorded it, so he had his
okay.
mini. I'm old, right? He had his camcorder set up with a little mini disc, and your first lecture was basically introducing yourself and giving a 30-second pitch, and every week they got longer. To the end of it, I think the final speech was like a 15 to 20-minute presentation. But it's funny. Like, I went back years later and watched that. I'm like, oh, that was brutal. But
you should bring it in. We'll play it.
Wish we had that now.
I think I'm gonna burn that. But no, but these young men and women.
Yep.
We have, obviously we got the young men. We're a boys only troop. But the skills and watching them grow, like the growth that you see just from, we'll say, 10 to 12, and watch them go from these bumbling, they don't know what to do, you got to do everything for them, to the first time you step back. And I think as dads, we've all done it at one time or another, where you step back and watch your son or one of the other scouts and just go, wow, they get it.
Yeah.
He's over there cooking. Yeah, they might burn their pancakes, or they might forget to bring milk, and they're like, oh, what do we do now? Or I forgot butter. I'm like, well, improvise, right? Go ask, see if somebody else has got it. All right, use a little olive oil, whatever you got to do. But they get it. And they start to learn, like, these skills. And it's just
But it's
amazing
it's not even just like skills. It's like just responsibility for themselves.
In the independence.
In independence. Like we had, say the same time Gabriel went in, we had one of the boys didn't bring. Now, mind you, for everybody listening, 90% of our camping is in the winter, and it is freezing cold.
Yeah.
Like we have one in like 2 weeks, and then we have one in January and February and March. Like I think January or February we're going up to New Hampshire or whatever.
New Hampshire, yep, it'll be cold.
Yeah,
Further north.
It's going to be a little cold. And we have kids that don't bring jackets, like heavy winter jackets, those and
Socks.
or gloves or extra socks.
or socks on a hike.
Yeah, and guess what? Like they learned their lesson after that. And even my own son, he has a board that after the first time that he missed something, now he goes in and like we just went to Herkimer Diamond Mine a couple weekends ago, and before we went, like Monday, I mean, we're not leaving till Friday, and Monday he's sitting there on the board writing down everything that he thinks that he might need. And I'm like, dude, it's Monday. He's like, yeah, but I want to make sure. Like, he's like, last time we went, I forgot this, I forgot this. I'm like, all right, dude, all right.
That's
go
good
ahead.
self-recognition.
Yeah,
a lot of kids don't have that, right? They forget it, and that's it.
Yeah.
But in the troop, they like. And it's hard for as parents to let them do this.
Yeah.
But we even tell the parents, we're like, you have to let them fail. Don't go through their stuff.
Yeah.
Let them fail.
And
we always bring extra like sweatshirts or something. Like I usually always have.
Yeah,
a
no
couple
one's
extra
in
sweatshirt.
danger.
Yeah,
no one's in danger,
Like,
but it's still gotta
Now it might be like his youngest, like John's youngest might be wearing a 2X.
sweatshirt.
And anybody who knows my son knows the kid's like a half
Yeah,
an
he's
ounce.
as big as my pinky.
Yeah, both of our sons are very small.
But you have, when you have kids like that, it might not be the most comfortable thing, but they're going to survive. And then guess what? The next time, they make sure they bring their stuff.
And it's, what I always tell the parents, and as Scoutmasters, we always talk about, because we have our meetings too, where we talk about ideas and things that we want to try to share with them, is Scouts is a safe place to fail. You want them to fail. Nobody ever learned anything if they didn't fail.
Right.
If you go through your whole life and you've never failed anything, did you really live? Did you push yourself? Because I'll tell you what, I've failed a lot of stuff in my life trying new things.
Yeah.
That's how you learn. So for them to forget a pair of socks, no lie, this,
Hilarious.
you know,
Did he have
the
any
fact
on
that
his
I think
feet?
no,
Oh,
he forgot to put his socks on as we went
Hiking.
on
We
a
were
hike.
actively hiking.
Fortunately, Scoutmaster over here had a pair of socks in his bag because we were practicing. So this goes along with we're trying to get into backpack camping. So we're teaching the scouts, all right, pack your bags and have all the stuff in there. Now we unpack and set up,
A base camp.
a base camp, and then we went out on a day hike and we said, well, bring your packs that with a significant amount of weight so you can get used to what it feels like. So fortunately, Justin had a pair of socks for the young man to put on, and and it's a joke. We joke with him about it, but I mean, we've had other stuff with you have your shakedown stuff. Scout will show up with a backpack that's 3 sizes too big, or a bike that doesn't work, or you got to improvise. Is it frustrating? Absolutely, it's frustrating, but at the same token, they got to learn that not things don't always go right.
Yeah.
We all work. We all have jobs. Show me a job where you've had everything go right every single day of your life.
I think too, like as a scoutmaster, right? Same thing as like a coach of a sport, right? You also have to be in tune with like their family, right? And the resources they have
Yep.
for some
Yeah.
of these things.
100%.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of this, right?
Yes.
Because again, oh, that kid's late. Well, that kid doesn't drive.
Yeah.
So
It's
what?
not really him. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's challenging, but
Oh yeah.
you have to pay attention to that stuff.
Yeah, and I think one of the best things is that Scouts does for us is it gives us that time with our sons. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
Where
absolutely.
it's so easy to get busy and absent-minded. Where every Thursday night, 7 8:30, we're there with our kids, and then one camp out a month about, and then even in the summer we do a 1 week camp out at Norcross. And which is a fabulous place. I've been there twice now. with
Or
you
we go
guys.
whitewater rafting.
Yeah, we do whitewater rafting.
Summer
There's
camp.
always trips, and it puts you in a position where it's you and your son, conquering challenges or doing tasks that you wouldn't normally do. And there's a saying on the internet: the hardest thing you've ever had to go through is the hardest thing you've ever had to go through. Whether that's a broken fingernail or a huge loss in your life that you've had to get over. So this to me gives those fill-in challenges where we're challenging them and they're doing hard things and sleeping outside and forgetting stuff, or you have a hike that's not just a flat tarred surface. It's a hike in the woods, and you have chance of getting lost. You have chances of we do a lot of things to advocate for their safety, as far as like buddy systems and how to survive out there if you do get separated from the group and stuff like that. And those things are just amazing life skills for them.
See, one of the favorite things that we like, and like you're talking about, like making memories with your kids and stuff. And I mean, it's when he first joined the troop for Gabriel. Him doing the blacksmithing up there was amazing. Just watching him and like
At June Norcross.
at June Norcross,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
When he was going through camp and him just doing that for that week, and watching him like build the stuff and just like, and it was a simple candle holder, or not a candle holder, jacket holder that they made, and like he finished it, and just like the self, the sense of accomplishment, and just like the pride that he had, that he was just like, wow, I just made this. And dad didn't help me, nobody helped me, I sat there and did it all on my own.
Yeah.
And those empowering things that they get to do. And I mean, it's not just at scout camp, but just throughout scouts, like kind of like what John and Justin were talking about, like making pancakes. Like most of the kids that we get they can't boil water. Like, they don't understand that, that they have to take the pan and put it on some kind of hot surface and put the water in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you watch them, like, obviously, me being the cooking kind of guy that I am, I'm constantly trying to challenge them. I mean, they watch what we eat, but you watch them, you watch them do something. Like I've watched one of
They
the
did the
patrols.
Alfredo.
Yeah, they made an Alfredo pasta sauce, and you're just like, wow, and it's good.
Yeah.
A couple years back, I did a challenge.
Dessert.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
dessert
I did a
challenge.
dessert cook-off. So I love outdoor cooking. I absolutely love outdoor cooking. So, we're over there eating. I think we had venison that night. I think we did we had venison sausage with peppers and
The
onions.
Scout
Mind you,
Masters
Scout
cooking.
Masters-
This is Scout
Go
Masters.
hungry.
This is nice.
John, we always volunteer to cook for us because he is the outdoor cooker, and then
But
and
Justin brought the
Bring the supplies and
Justin
I'll
brought
cook
the. I think you brought the. One of you guys brought the venison. I don't remember which one it was. So here we are. We're eating venison with peppers and onions and whatever else we had that night. But I challenged the scouts because it was a fun event where I brought the troop and the pack together. So I was only out of the pack for a short amount of time as a Cub Master. I'm like, well, let's do a camp out where everybody's there. So we had Cubs on one side, Boy Scouts on the other. And I'm like, well, we used the boys in the troop to teach some of the scouts coming over how to do some cooking. So like, all right, let's do a cook-off. So we did a dessert cook-off, and
Had to be in a Dutch oven
it had to be cooked in a Dutch oven. And
over the coals.
I think I might have said they had to use one ingredient had to include chocolate because I'll usually say, hey, you need an ingredient.
yeah,
And there was a molten lava cake, which was pretty
that
good.
was really good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what the winner had chocolate and peanut butter, and it was, oh my god, it was good.
Yeah.
I
They had a
was-
lot of good stuff.
But you watch this stuff, so I mean, they watch. Like I think we were just having a conversation last week about our Thanksgiving camp out, our November camp out. Excuse me. It's become my tradition. I started a couple years ago with I will cook the troop dinner. So typically the boys cook their own meals, all their meals. It's called patrol cooking. Well, for this one here, they do patrol cooking for everything but dinner on Saturday night. So what we've done, and this will be our third or fourth year, I forget, we will go hike a mountain in the morning. We get back late in the afternoon, and then I'll put on a full Thanksgiving meal. So we have trash can turkey, Dutch oven. I make, stuffing from scratch. I'll toast the bread, and everything at home beforehand. So we have turkey, stuffing, gravy. Sometimes I'll do potatoes and throw them in the coals, like baked potatoes. I've done squash. We'll do a dessert. Do this full spread. And usually I'll bring like a 20-pound bird. And if there's more than 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds of meat left on that carcass, they
you're
devour it.
hungry.
But they look forward to
good.
it. And it's a lot of fun. Mike reminded me of that because I was like, oh, maybe this year we'll just let them do their own. He's like, yeah, you're not doing that.
Because
Like, they love it. And,
they all talk about it.
Yeah.
They talk about
Yeah.
this is one of the ones that when they were recruiting, and when they talk to other boys outside of scouts, that's one of the things that they bring up is they go like they talk about like and I hear Gabriel talk about it all the time is monadnock and trash can turkey. Like, oh, our scoutmaster makes this trash can turkey and it's so good, and we do like this big Thanksgiving. It's awesome, and we hike a mountain and like. It's like, all right, cool. And they remember that. And
Yeah.
sometimes sometimes some of us just don't hear about it. And like John's like, I don't know if I want to do that. We're like, nope.
That's a staple.
Yeah.
We got to do that.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
You've made it
but
a
it's fun.
tradition.
But it's fun. It is. And, for the people listening, they have no idea what trash can
I
turkey
was going to say, we got to explain
Yeah.
that.
So trash can turkey starts with a brand new trash can, people.
Yeah.
No, I don't use a trash can that I've already had garbage in. No, it starts with a brand new steel trash can. You burn the zinc off it and everything else. And basically you're creating a big oven. So I have multiple different ways I prepare the turkey. The way I prepare it for scouts is not the same way I prepare it at home. But basically, you got a nice flat spot on the ground. I'll put down a little bit of tin foil so that when I push the can down, it creates a little bit of a seal. I have a spit that I built that I put my turkey on that keeps it off the ground. Got a pan underneath it so not in case, it does fall off the spit because it's so moist that the thing literally falls apart. So I have a nice big metal throwaway pan that I put underneath the spit to catch the bird. But then you put the can over it, and and you get a little bit of a seal between the ground and the can, and then literally, usually a bag and a half, so a 20-pound bag plus, or I think there's 16-pound bags, 16-pound bag of charcoal dumped all the way around the edge of the can, and as much charcoal as I could fit on the top of the can. And the key is don't light it like most people light charcoal. You don't use lighter fluid. You can't use lighter fluid because it'll suck that right into the meat. So we use a charcoal chimney, and I put the hot coals on top of the coals that haven't started yet, and just walk away. Let it sit for 2 hours. It could be 10 pounds. It could be 28 pounds. 2 hours, it's done.
Huh.
And you guys have all had it.
Delicious.
The meat speaks for itself.
Good.
I'm looking forward to it. This is my first year in the troop, so this will be fun.
It's a fun meal.
Yeah.
It really is, and it's the kids do love it. We got some pretty cool videos. I think you took videos of Monadnock last year as the big reveal. It was like one of those 10-second reveals as I'm lifting up the can, and Justin's taking a video, and you could just see the smoke coming out and nice caramelized skin. It was freaking. You could almost smell it through the photo in the video.
So that's some like one of the other things that we do, or we just did, was the whitewater rafting.
Oh yeah,
And
that was a great trip.
4 of us were all on that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was amazing.
Yeah.
Like just the fact that honestly, I probably would not have done it if we didn't do it with the scouts, and it's just making the time and everything. But
Yeah.
we had what was it, 13 scouts?
Was it 13 or 15?
It
It
was
was
something.
3/4 of the troop, I think,
Yeah.
on that trip.
And
But also, I mean, they all raised the money for the trip
Yep.
because it was a special trip, and,
Yeah.
one off. And we had 3 car washes and a
Yep.
can
Yep.
and a can collection
Can
day. And depending on how much they participated in those fundraisers, was how much money they got off of the price to entry, and then
And it makes them understand that too, because one of the things, like, if you don't explain it to them, we talked to the scouts like, hey, look, this trip should have cost you. I'm the one to put that together. I believe it was like almost $600 a person.
right.
And with our regular troop fundraising and then the specific fundraising we did just for that trip, there was scouts that went for free.
Right.
They literally went for free because of all the fundraising. And the fundraising was pretty easy. Car washes are probably one of the easiest fundraisers. They're fun to do,
Yeah.
and you know what? It went really well.
Yeah, yeah. It was just cool because you could see that they're accomplishing stuff. We obviously have to pay for it, so it's for them to raise their own money for it, and then going on the trip, and it is intimidating too. You're going whitewater rafting, so I know my son was nervous, but then we had really good guides, and we had great weather as
Oh,
well,
yeah.
and
2 days of whitewater rafting. We
Yeah.
ended up,
Yeah.
Right? That was awesome.
yeah, we got to go down the river twice, and
one rainy day, one sunny
Yeah.
day.
So one day we're in wetsuits and freezing, and the next day we're like not even wanting to have mad because we have to have shirts on, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
It was
well,
so
even
nice.
the wetsuits, like, to me, the rain was colder,
But it was
but when you're in the river, it was warm.
Yeah,
you
it
know,
was.
I was like, this
It
is
was.
crazy, and then our guide kept jumping in the river because it was so hot the second day.
Yeah. Oh, it was awesome.
It's like-
And that was the second time we did it as a troop. So we had done that same trip, but we did it as what was called a first class trip. So the scouts had to be a certain rank. And, we used that trip to encourage the younger scouts to advance in rank.
right.
Now, the thought was potentially doing that for this one too, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted it to be a full troop thing in hopes that it encouraged that scouts to really want to be able to go on these trips, because the thing is like, hey, if you're going to go on this trip, you have to have the understanding the discipline's got to be there,
Mhm.
right? You have to be able to follow directions, because there is a safety effect.
Oh, for sure.
And I think by taking every single scout that wanted to go, for the most part, it was better than the first class trip, because all the scouts saw that they could do it. And let's be honest, you guys know we probably had off the top of my head, I think 3, maybe 4 scouts that were a little nervous on when we were sitting outside and we were going through our safety brief, and they realized like we're picking up the boats, and they're like, you could see it in their eyes. They're like, ooh.
This is only day 1. Day 2,
Day 2, they're like, let's go. We don't care. Get us in the boat. But that first day, and watching them go from like kind of like, oh, I don't really want to do this, I want to quit, and then to the next day where they're like jumping off the boats, floating down the river, and just you couldn't wipe the smiles off their face. I'm smiling now thinking about it because that's what it's all about. You see their smiles. Look, I'm selfish. I got into this because they asked me, and I'm like, sure, I'll be a leader. I want to sign my son up. The person that was signing me up, she got me hook, line, and sinker. I'll throw Jane, Jane Sipple. I know you're not listening, but she's another Marine. She had a Marine Corps hat on.
Great.
I said, I want to sign my son up. He was in kindergarten. She's like, can you be a leader? And I'm like, I don't know. Can you show me what I got to do? Is there a manual? She's like, oh, yeah, we'll get you all the training you need. I'm like, I'll do it. It's dedicated family time.
Yeah.
I put scouts, and not everybody can do that, but I put scouts priority number 1. That is my family time. So I never put work in front of scouts. Take it for what,
It's a fun juggling act.
take it for what you will, but that's just what I do with my family. And I don't ever regret it, but it was, I did it selfishly for my own son, but it morphed into more. I love seeing these scouts, the growth.
Yeah.
There's a scout I love talking about, and I remember he hated, and this goes all the way back to the pack. First time he went to summer camp.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. I say it now. Then I was pulling my hair out. But he was
All 3 strands.
so upset. Yeah, exactly. All 3 strands. I had a little bit more hair there. I probably wasn't quite as gray.
Easy there, buddy.
Yeah. But he
I can snuff
He
your
hated-
candle at any time.
I'll steal Justin's.
but he hated it. He hated it. All he wanted to do was go home. And I'm like, nah, you just got to give me a day. Give me a day. And it took a lot of coaxing. And how many years now we've been? 7
Now
8 years now?
he's 6-7 years now at least.
And,
yeah.
and there was a moment last year when we hiked Monadnock, and that was actually that was the first time we did Monadnock.
That was 2 years ago.
2 years ago. He was like, before he even started, he's like, oh, I'm not going to make it, And like, you're going to make it, you'll be fine. And he pushed his way to the top. He was a little bit behind. There was a group that fell a little bit behind. But he got to the top of that mountain, and the look on his face, an accomplishment. The next hike, it was amazing. I'd still smile thinking about it. The next hike, he was our hike guide. He was leading the thing off. Now, he's in it. He's in it to win it now, and he just loves it. And you saw that growth. You saw a kid that hated it, that was doing it because he was told to a kid that loves being there now.
Yeah.
And that is what it's all about.
Yeah.
And then there's several kids that are like that. We have a couple kids that were in the pack, and then they went to the troop, and then to see their growth, like especially I'm thinking of one like just the last 2 years, like to see his growth, like completely different kid
Yeah.
from when he was in the pack.
And it's funny because you don't like, it's their choice to do the work and move up in criteria. It's not something we make them do,
Right.
So it becomes their choice, and they have that control as to whether or not they want to, just stay at scout or stay at tenderfoot and just kind of go through the motions and hang out with their buddies. That happens, but most of them will take the initiative and move up because they're watching the others move up, and there's so much leading by example in there. And then you always have the scout run program. The older scouts teach the younger scouts and gives them all that life skills.
And that's a hard one for them. I think that's the hardest one for dads. Like going from the pack to the troop. The pack, you do everything. When you have to stand back and physically watch them fail or do something, they're like, oh my God. You are like making this as hard as humanly possible. And you just got to sit back and go, okay, if that's really what you want to do, there's a better way to do it.
Oh, we actually have a question. Can
Okay.
you believe
Really?
I-
yeah, Brandon Long. How many?
Nice.
How many are in the troop?
Right now we have
18.
20. No, I think we're actually at 21.
yeah, with two
Scouts.
patrols, right?
We have 2 full patrols, and then we usually have, the new scout patrol. But yeah, I think we have 20. I think it's 21. 21
About to
as
be
of-
23. 'cause
Yep.
We have 2 more
Yep.
that are coming in February.
Okay. All right. And then he also asked, how are they when it comes to attendance when there's other sports? And I know John Vinny does
So-
soccer.
Yep, that's a
Yeah.
yeah.
We have kids that, I mean, we do it at 7 to 8:30. So most of the sports are done.
Yeah.
We do have times where, we have scouts that are in baseball, and like Justin does baseball and he gets there a little late. And then we have kids that do hockey that they make the choice of, okay, every other meeting I'm going to go to, and then I'm going to miss practice or whatever on that one. And I've had to do the same thing
Yep.
with my son, where
Yeah.
he shows up late to practice, or late to scouts on 1 week, and then the next week he leaves practice early. And you just got to make that
Yeah, and some
judgment.
some of the campouts are local, so
Yeah.
like, especially at the pack level, a lot of the campouts are local, and you just it's kind of leisure. You go to your soccer game, come back, kind of thing. Plus, the it gets them into that decision making too,
Mhm.
as to what their priority is, and the curriculum for Boy Scouts. Everybody goes home with a book, and they can do a lot of it at home, and then come in for their rank or for their sign offs, and it doesn't have to be the whole time at the 7 to if they get there late or whatever,
Yeah.
or if they can only go to like 2 a month, they can get that sign off then. And now with technology, I know during COVID at the pack level, I was recording my son Matthew doing some of the stuff so that you could sign off on it.
Yeah, a little
there.
different between a pack and a troop. But to go back to what was the gentleman's name?
Brandon.
Brandon Long.
Yeah.
Brandon Long. So
Hey, buddy.
yeah, if you're really interested in scouts, please come down and check us out on Thursday nights at Brooklyn Elementary School Gym, 7 p.m. We would love to talk to you more. But to go back to, we are a very heavy sport troop. We really are.
Yeah.
Multiple kids are in travel soccer. Both my kids are in travel soccer. My oldest is now reffing, and he doesn't play anymore, but he refs, but he does all the other stuff in high school. And what I will say is that we really do make it work. Mike said there's times where you pick and choose. I know my oldest has picked and choose multiple times. It was like, hey, he's heavily involved now in the band program at Woodstock. And it's like, okay, I really want to do this pep band, or I want to go on this band trip, the big band trip they do in April. He goes, that means I'm going to miss a camp out. I'm like, okay, what's more important?
Yeah.
Well, where the camp out is to Patchogue, and we're hiking 15 miles. Well, this band trip is to West
Point.
no
Just
Virginia.
guessing.
What's the
West
what's
Virginia.
not West Virginia? It's Virginia Beach.
Virginia Beach. I was
He's
close.
Yeah, sure. So he's like, I've never been there. I really want to go. And I'm like, well, then that's a decision you got to make. When it comes to the sports on Thursdays, like Mike said, most of the time they're done.
Yeah.
It's not an either or thing
No,
for
it's
sure.
not an
It's
either
an
or.
annual
Yeah.
plan.
You can
You're
do
going
both.
Yeah.
from September.
Yep.
And there's even
Yeah.
stuff in the summertime. It's
Yeah,
kind of come as you will. We've had people that are, hey, we don't really see you around much in the fall because we know you're doing X, Y, Z, but we know you're
Yeah.
coming back towards the winter, and you kind of fold back into the loop. I think anything that gets kids nowadays out and interacting, I think is a huge thing for me. I know my son loves video games. This is a non-video game activity
Yeah.
that I really appreciate watching him connect with human beings, interact with other kids.
Three-dimensional
his
people.
age.
Yay!
What do I do now? But, we figure that out. So I appreciate that as a parent.
Yeah, there's
Day and
like,
age that can happen.
I think there's 2 merit badges that are technology oriented. Everything else is
Skills.
skills and talking to people.
I mean,
Right.
there
Or-
are
and
there's a lot of technology, but I mean, it's like life technology, like engineering, drafting.
Yes.
Yeah,
But there's
the
like a game.
electrical
There actually is a
Yeah.
game design.
Yeah,
And
but
we
and that's
maintain-
what I was thinking of. Like, there's an IT, there's a game design,
Yeah.
and then
And
I
the
don't-
Just real quick, just made me think about it. But merit badges. So in Scouts, there's merit badges. We didn't really touch on that, but a lot of the merit badge courses are designed based on jobs. So
Right.
it gets these things are to plant seeds in kids' heads. Like, hey, I kind of like that, or hey, I think I want to be this, and
Yeah.
okay, go take that merit badge. Maybe they do, or maybe they don't.
And then they go, yeah, I don't want to
Oh,
be.
that definitely,
I-
there's
I don't
10
wanna-
prerequisites for that. I definitely don't want to do
Yeah.
that.
I really don't want to be an underwater basket weaver. I try something else.
So his son's 6 years old, I guess.
Oh,
Right.
so
Right, yeah.
he-
Yeah,
that's
it'd be-
pack level.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he said they play football. The season's over, obviously.
okay.
But
Yeah, he'd be a tiger, and
Wait,
you know,
6 isn't 6 kindergarten? Is 6?
It could be first grade.
He
well,
could.
so
yeah,
he'd either be a lion or a tiger,
Yep.
and
perfect time to
yeah.
join.
Yeah.
Dale
Dale.
LaValle is the pack master.
Cub
Okay.
master.
Sorry,
6 and 11 are his.
cub master.
So that's one in each. You can have one in the pack and one in the troop.
Yeah.
Yep.
Life is good.
Yeah. And my
Tell him
son
to come
knows
down
his
on
older son.
Thursday.
They would.
Or he's listening right
He's
now.
in first grade. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so Thursday nights, Brandon at Brooklyn Elementary in the gym, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
For the
uh,
11-year-old for sure.
we can talk about both troop and pack because there's enough of us that are very well into.
He did also say though he'll stop by when Matt is not there.
We don't blame you.
Well, then don't. So come this Thursday because I won't be there. Either.
I'll be there this Thursday. I don't think I got anything.
You're not supposed to say that.
He's
Trying
just
to get
gonna
him
have
to
to
come
deal.
down.
No.
You know,
He's gonna have to deal with it.
And bring a friend.
Recruiting.
Look, and all joking aside, I mean, this should really be all. I mean, for recruiting stuff, you know, we can't talk enough good stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
every organization has stuff that could, you know, there's times, you know, it's not peaches and cream all the time. I mean, there's times you get frustrated, but the fact of the matter is the stuff that we get to do at both. So, you know, we're talking about the troop right now because we're all part of the troop, but we were all part of the pack not that long ago. And let's go back to that. When I was a Cub Master, you know, we'd go to Battleship Cove. We've hiked the Freedom Trail in Boston. We've done the Boston Museum of Science overnight.
We're going to the
over.
National Air Museum this year and sleeping over.
Yeah, the National Air.
Yeah, because you're
we-
still in the pack.
Yeah.
You're youngest.
there's so much stuff that we did even when I was doing Cub Master because when Amy and I first started this, I mean, we didn't have a ton of money. It was a way that we could do stuff because I got on the horn and I was calling all kinds of places. How many hockey games have we seen?
Oh yeah.
How many
Monster
times have we
Jam,
gone to
yeah.
Monster
Yep.
Jam
The
or
discount,
Disney on Ice? Yeah, like
Providence Bruins
20
games
P.
are so
Brooks.
much fun. $20, you get
Yeah.
what, a drink, a hot dog, and
Popcorn,
and a
hat,
Yeah.
go down on the ice and do the national anthem.
Yeah.
Get to,
So
I mean,
much fun.
we one of the years I took them to the Wolf Pack, and they actually got to go onto the ice
Oh yeah. I
and
forgot about
slap hands going in. I mean,
Oh.
that was awesome.
We went
too.
for the baseball.
North,
Ducks.
used
Well,
to be the
Goats.
Navigators.
CT
but
Tigers.
CT
Yeah.
Tigers, yeah.
Now we went to that. That was really fun.
Yep, sleeping
Like
on
the-
the field, watching
yeah.
a movie.
The kid. I mean, we have done so many things, and you know, always open to new families
And new
coming in and being
ideas.
like, "Hey, have you guys ever heard about this? To go
Right.
do this?" And we're like,
Mix it up.
"Sweet, let's go do that."
Yeah.
You know, everybody's. You know, we're always looking for new families, and I say families. I don't say new kids. I mean families.
Because it is
Yeah.
family.
It's especially at the Cub level, it is a very very family oriented thing.
Yeah.
And like we've all said during this whole thing, like we always want to be able to sit there and go and hang out with our kids, and it's like John said in the beginning, it's dedicated time to go and hang out with your son or your daughter. And
How fun is it, when we're on a camp out and Monadnock always comes to mind because at Monadnock, we just got done hiking up a mountain. All us old guys are like, we're all out of breath. But no, it's cold, it's because we do it in November. So we get back down below, we start up a fire, we're sitting around a fire, and they get to see us. They get to see us in a different light too, because look, I will always be the disciplinarian type that comes from the military, just like Mike, just like, Justin. We all have this persona of how we, utilize discipline to do the fun stuff that we do. And when you're sitting around a fire after a long day, we've had dinner, and we're joking around, and then they get to see that side of us where we're goofing around because
Yeah.
we're basically all 14-year-old boys that are
It
like,
never leaves you.
it doesn't leave, right? I will never not be. There's certain things that I will never not laugh at certain things. I don't care if I'm 80 years old.
Fart jokes.
Fart jokes are still gonna make me laugh.
As an example.
Exactly. But I mean,
I mean,
get
they
to
see me
that.
and John hang, sitting there,
Marines
busting
and
on
Navy.
each other. Yeah, and they all look over and they're like, "Is everything okay?"
Do they not like each other? They're like, no, that's just them joking. But they see that. There was a great moment last in September. We did a camp out where we were down at Patchogue, and they do what's called a campfire program. And I know you didn't get to go to this, but they put together this whole program with a campfire where they have songs and skits. And Justin and I and one of our other leaders are sitting there, and it was like the same skit kept getting redone over and over again, but just changing it ever so slightly to the point where we're sitting there like, oh my God, this is brutal. But then you sit back and go, there wasn't a cell phone in sight. They're rolling around on the ground like in tears.
Their video,
Oh
their
my
movie
God.
they made.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But they just, you look at it and you go,
Yeah.
they get it. This is almost as good as when we were kids and we had none of the technology.
Yeah.
They were living in the moment, and those little moments are like they'll never forget it.
Yep.
I guarantee you there'll be something will come up and that dumb skit will come up and we'll be like, oh, not again. But they had a blast, and we're sitting there going, let it go. Why are we gonna break it up?
Right.
Right.
Just have fun. Dude.
Oh, it's
You guys are ridiculous. Have a good time. You're not
I
hurting
mean,
anybody.
There's no drinking, there's no drugs. Everybody's
Yep.
influencing each other respectively and having fun. It's just, I don't know. It's definitely so family orientated
Yep.
that way, and some of those kids really need that, and it's so cool when they get to have that.
Yeah.
So
It's positive.
Yeah.
Having positive. Not everybody has a positive male role model at home.
Right.
And for some of these scouts, this might be the only chance they have that. I wish I had. I wish I had the opportunity to do something like this. Like I wasn't in scouts when I was a kid. I wish I
Yeah.
was, because I would have loved it.
Mm.
But I get to live it now.
Right.
You know.
yeah, vicariously through your kids.
Yeah.
The
And
whole bit.
we-
No, there is no vicarious.
Yeah.
We're doing all
He's
the
living
same
it.
stuff.
we live it because we go and
Yeah.
do the same fun stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
It's fun.
But you don't have to do merit badges.
we don't have to do merit.
No, like when we drink a lot of coffee.
We do drink a lot of coffee.
If there was a merit badge for coffee, yeah, we'd all have it.
Yeah, there's some great, there's great Scoutmaster stories too. I mean, it started with us, me and you, years ago, where you talked about June Norcross. We take our scouts there every year for a summer camp, spend a whole week, and there's multiple years in a row where Justin and I have a picture where each one of us has a cup of coffee and we got our arms linked. Dude, you'll drink. And we have that picture multiple years in a row. We redo it every year because it's just a joke. I mean, we're always drinking coffee somewhere, you know. Well, now we get lucky. They give us iced coffee. You know, we used to only be hot coffee. Now they're like, hey, we got some ice. We'll make up some extra. Like, all right.
Yeah, the Scoutmaster meetings with all the other Scoutmasters from around wherever. They come
Yeah.
from all over the place
Yep.
to be at June Norcross. It's
great
such an
networking.
amazing.
And you get ideas
facility.
from them, and hey,
Yeah.
we tried this trip with this, so you
Yeah.
can kind of
in the classes
insert
to
that in.
Training.
become the training to become better Scoutmasters and stuff.
And there's all kinds of stuff for us. I mean, they have Scout University. They have like all the online programs and everything else that if you're like, hey, I want to know more and get better,
Yeah,
they have the stuff out there.
yeah,
Like they make it ridiculously easy
Yeah.
to be a Scoutmaster or
Or
Packmaster.
den leader or
Yeah.
no, Cub Master. Say it with me.
Master.
Cub Master. Sorry.
Good Lord, you've only been involved for like 6 years. You think you get it
8
right
years.
by now. Now, the training is awesome. There's some great training available. If you wanted to be a leader, that's one of my other hats I wear in Scouts is training. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I'll say as a newbie to the troop for sure, and I was only in the pack, I think 3 years or something like that. It was everybody's an open book. you have a question, you just ask, and everybody's willing to help out. And you're never doing it alone. We have the buddy system in every regard you can imagine, and it's just always super fun. Everybody's geared towards making it better every week, and yeah, I've learned a lot, and it was kind of intimidating. Like, oh, I've never done scouts, and I didn't know what to expect, and just kept asking John, every week, like, oh, how's this work? How's that work? And now I'm
Now you're camping with us.
yeah, assistant scout
Got
master.
you locked in.
Yeah, so. And I just paid my dues, so we're good for another year.
It's a great time. I mean, anybody that's listening that has kids that they would like to check out a good program, you're not going to beat it. I mean, bang for the buck. I know all too well, sports are expensive. You pay $150 for a season, which could last 8 weeks. We pay $150 for the whole year, but that covers basically 95% of what we do. So when they pay their, I'm not going to use the word dues because we don't charge dues for our troop. So it's hard to get parents to understand the money that you pay to join Scouting or your yearly fee is a membership. That money goes right to BSA National and our council. So the council, they do our local programs, so some of that money helps to fund that. We don't charge for Troop 44. We do fundraising. Anybody's ever been to the Brooklyn Fair and smelt the barbecue chicken? That's us.
Yep.
We do the barbecue chicken. Or the Lenten fish fry at Trinity, all through Lent. Every Friday night we're doing a fish fry.
We got the Reese coming.
The Reese that one there is a little bit, that one there is to help pay for summer camp. So that's a situational one, kind of like the car washes we
Right.
did for whitewater rafting. But
Yeah.
all the stuff we do is to keep the cost down for the parents. I mean, not for nothing. We just went to Herkimer, and that's how many hours was that?
4
Four,
hours.
4 hours away.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're gone for 3 days. We did a geology merit badge program at Herkimer Diamond Mines. We stayed at a KOA, which anybody who camps knows how expensive it is to stay at a KOA. We did all this stuff, and the scouts out-of-pocket cost was $43. I will tell you, it costs way more than that per person to go.
Oh yeah.
Right.
But because of all the hard work that the families and scouts do all year long, we're able to do these programs for very minimal. A typical camp
everything,
out
right?
costs $15, and that $15 is their food.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Which is cheap in today's
Yeah.
standards.
And then
exactly.
And then we also encourage them to give back. Tomorrow, we're going to be doing the food drive at the
you beat me to
election.
He's
So
He's
if you're
trained
in,
very well.
if you're going to Brooklyn to vote at the Brooklyn school, one of us will be sitting there at a picnic table collecting food. So bring food donations if you can.
Non-perishable goods.
And I know my kids, just the encouragement to volunteer for things like that, and the charities that they've worked for and done. I know a couple of years we've taken them to, a grocery store, and okay, let's do each is pick out what you would do for Thanksgiving, and then we bring it down to the local food pantry, and that all stems from our influence with Scouts. I mean, just the giving back notion
Service.
to it, and the service to your community. I can't say enough about it. It just puts them in that headspace to want to help people out more.
So I'm going to step backwards a half a step here.
Sure.
So November in Scouting is traditionally Scouting for food. So this year, because of, the fact that Connecticut doesn't allow the plastic bags, we used to have this awesome program. We had a yellow bag, had all the information. We'd put it on mailboxes. People would fill it up. We'd go back the next Saturday. We'd pick it up.
That was the only part I liked from my brother.
Yeah.
Was sitting on the back of a truck driving down the road.
collecting.
Well, we can't do that anymore because we banned plastic bags. So what we're doing this year, and I'm also another hat. I'm also part of the Brooklyn Business Association, and the Brooklyn Business Association traditionally has done this food drive every year for the, at the polls. So I approached them and said, hey, what if I got my scouts there to help too? And then we publicize it on both sides of the fence. So our goal tomorrow is to completely stock the shelves for the Brooklyn Community Cares Center, and then also send food over to Friends of Assisi. And man, it would be great if we could stock both of them tomorrow because let's be honest, it's coming that time of the year where people really need, we're in an area where people can really use that extra hand. So, and now we have something in our backyard that we didn't have. I mean,
Right.
yes, Friends of Assisi is next door, but this is right here in Brooklyn. This is our people. So that's tomorrow. We'll be there. I'll be there for probably most of the day. I think I might take a couple breaks here and there, but
Get more coffee.
get more coffee. Yeah, I gotta more coffee. Go vote. Go do the parent-teacher conference.
Yeah. We'll be at
But,
the school quite a
we
bit
will be
tomorrow.
there.
Strategic with
Yeah.
the way they said all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so for those of you out there, I'm like, if you already voted, if you're one of those people that did early voting, don't be afraid to come down to the food drive and drop something off because we'd love to take it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, anything else, guys? I mean, it's been a great conversation.
Now, if you guys have any questions, anybody has any questions, please reach out.
They message on the Facebook. Somebody will get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a Facebook, a public Facebook page that somebody will answer, or you have right there. You can email me at the business. My business email address is fine. You can call, text. If you're interested in Scouts, look, I will talk Scouts as much as you want to. I think it's an awesome program. I really do. And I wouldn't be in it for almost 10 years now if I didn't.
Right.
So, anybody that has questions,
Yep.
just
And-
reach out.
Check it out.
I know you don't want to, Brandon, but you can call me.
He left.
He's like, I don't want
He got his
He's
info
not on.
and
I don't want, he's not as charismatic. That's what it is. No, it's a great program. And what do we got? So I'm trying to think of some of the fun stuff we got coming up just to entice. We're
We're going
hiking.
Mount Cardigan Mountain
Yep.
this coming month with the trash can turkey dinner.
Yep.
Coming up, we do a 1 day. We usually December's busy, so we're doing trampoline place,
Yep.
trampoline park 1 day in December. January,
The through hike.
we're doing the through hike 2 days on the airline trail.
Oh, wow.
February is the Klondike, which is basically a scout skills competition
Yep.
in the middle of the winter. So those are some of the most recent things
Yep.
coming up.
And then a big one that the Scouts really love at the end of the year. We usually do a bike trip. Traditionally, we've gone out to the Cape and we'll do like 25 to 28 miles on the what's it called? The Cape Cod Air Trail.
Rails
Cape,
to trail.
Yeah,
rail
Cape
to
Cod Rail
trails.
Trail.
Yep.
It's a blast. We have a great time, and then usually we go and our legs are all rubber. We go back. We buy like 15 or 20 pizzas. And we sit around a campfire and drink a couple sodas and have pizza
Yeah.
and they love it, and it's a great time. So that's usually we do that April or May.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
And of course we have summer camp and whatever other fun stuff
that's
we
my
plan.
favorite.
Summer camp is a blast every year. It's
Camp
something. When I
Norcross.
was a scout, that was my favorite memories coming out of scout camp. Just living there for a week, growing as the kids. I see the most growth like directly in 1 week
Right.
from the
It's
kids.
such a jam-packed 6 days, 7 days for the 6 days for them,
It's
and
just fun.
yeah, they get to be with all the other scouts from all over the place, and the activities that they have, and the meetings are so fun and funny. They put on skits, and they have all their fun.
Dear Lila. Dear Lila.
Yeah, and
Mashed potatoes. I love mashed potatoes.
Would you like some on your microphone?
I would love some on my microphone. Yeah, we have fun.
yeah. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for taking the time, especially in short notice, and sharing us your life in scouting with us. And John, kudos to you for JG Creations coming such a far way in 2 short years. Congratulations on that. I hope you get a ton of business for Christmas.
Me too.
Yeah, and just I love when the small businesses can just be have some longevity with clientele and whatnot. So
Well, it's great when we all support each other too. So
Yeah.
as you're checking out my business page and you're checking out the CWP business page and you hit those likes and shares because I'm telling you the best thing you can do for anybody,
Yep.
whether it's, for us or any of your friends, it's free. It doesn't cost you a dime. But that exposure, putting like my post in front of your friends that I might not be friends with, it doesn't cost you a dime, but it does great things for me. So when you like and share, any one of these episodes, it puts it in front of all kinds of new people. So
Yep.
that's the best thing we can all do for each other as small businesses.
Yep.
Well said. Thanks, buddy. Next week is our Veterans Day special. November 11th, we will go live with Danielson Veterans Coffee House. We have at least one gentleman, maybe two, to fill us in on what they do and how anyone can help and volunteer. Veterans can always use the extra hand and the support, and I'm very, very grateful to have these gentlemen on next week. Can't wait to hear all about it. Hope you can all join us. We'll see you Monday at 6. As always, buy local, hire local, dine local, volunteer local, and donate local. Have great days.